wait for that to start. Lovely. Okay, so I'm now going to share my screen. Okay, so I will pop the link into the chat box at the end of this session, but your new procedures site, so it is a website, so you don't need to be on any particular device to access it. It will work on any device that has access to the internet, so you can be on desktops, laptops, your mobile phone, whatever it might be. And the whole purpose of what we've done and what's happened is to provide you with your current procedures in a much more accessible way, but also provide you access to a whole suite of additional resources and information and guidance to support safeguarding practice across all of the different board areas. Important thing to note before we continue is that nothing has actually changed in terms of how you do safeguarding. Okay, what has changed is the way that the information is presented and provided for you. So that's what we're going to look at today. So when you use the link that I'm going to pop into the chat box, you'll be taken to this welcome page. So as you can see, it's the West Yorkshire, North Yorkshire and City of York Joint Multi-Agency Safeguarding Adults Policy and Procedures. This is a home page, so it's your kind of landing page. Each Safeguarding Adult Board has its own website. So you can see at the bottom of the page, there are buttons for each of the different board areas. The actual core content in terms of safeguarding content and safeguarding procedures is the same. It's not different for each of the board areas. The only thing that's different when you go to the individual board area is you will see specific information about reporting a concern that's only relevant to that board. You will have a link to that board's Safeguarding Adult Board website, and there will also be resources on there that are specific to that particular board. So if you work in a particular area, then you can go to the relevant board. If you work across two different areas and you just want the core procedures, it doesn't matter which one you're in. So it depends on the kind of remit of your work. All you do is click on the board name below. So I will, for the purposes of this demonstration, click into Bradford. Okay, so we are now on the Bradford board website. There's an introduction here. So just to say, so that the policy and procedures obviously are used by everybody. There's Safeguarding Adults core procedures, which are your core current process reflected in there. There's Safeguarding Adults practice guidance, which is additional information provided through this resource. And there's a learning and improvement section. Contacts and practice resources. So the contacts and practice resource section, each of the board websites has its own contact and practice resource section, and that is the bit where you will find all of those locally developed processes documents that might only apply to that particular area. Okay. Each of the sites, there's a register for updates facility. So the register for updates facility allows you to be notified once a change has been made to this site. So we've worked with the boards to make sure that all of the information is current and up to date now. Obviously things change over time and the site will need to be updated. We have a mechanism in place whereby we continue to work with the boards to make sure that all of the kind of national updates take place in a nice timely way. Those updates happen at least twice yearly. If you have registered for updates using this little link here, then you will receive an email from us to tell you when the site has been updated. What you would then do is come to the site and go to the amendment area. So the amendment area is up here. You can also access it here, and that would be a list of the changes that have been made at that current update. So you can keep abreast of all of those changes that have been made to the multi-agency procedures. Each of the sites has an email here for feedback. So obviously the feedback would be collated. So in terms of if you use this email for Bradford, if there was anything that was related to the contact and practice resource area, so the Bradford specific stuff, then Bradford would address that. If there was anything relating to the actual core procedural content, then obviously all of the boards would discuss and agree any changes to that, because that content is the same regardless on which site you are on. What you have is a link across to the children's safeguarding procedures as well. So if you are an agency that works across adults and children's, then you can easily access the safeguarding children's procedures from here as well. At the bottom of each website, you have some big buttons. So you have a button here for reporting a safeguarding concern, which will take you to specifically how to do that in Bradford, because we are on the Bradford site. If you were on the Calderdale site, it would be the Calderdale how to report a concern pages. Safeguarding Adult Board website link here, which again, in this case, will take you to the Bradford Safeguarding Adult Board. But if you were on the Calderdale Kirklees site or any of the other sites, that would take you to the relevant Safeguarding Adult Board. And then the contacts and practice resources. So these are the local resources. So if I just click on there, that will take me to the Bradford contacts and practice resource area. So within that, you have some sections. All you do is click on the section, and once you open the section, you will either see subsections or specific guidance that you will need. So that's how that works. But the information here will either be national or it will be very, very local to Bradford. Okay, so that's why there are different kind of websites. So the home button here, as I just click that, will take me back to the home page. So I'm back on the welcome page now. So each site has its own, as I said, its own mini website. Within that, you've got specific reporting a safeguarding concern, the Safeguarding Adult Board website, and the contacts and practice resources, which will be specific to that area whose website you are on. Everything else, the policy and procedures, is shared content. So when I hit policy and procedures, all of this information is actually the same across all of the sites. So it doesn't matter which one you are in when you are after your core procedures, okay? Now, as I said, the core procedures, they are your current 4-stage process, simply presented in a different way. But what you do and how you do it has not changed at all. So to use it, all you do is click on whatever information you are looking for. And then you can either read it top to bottom, or every page will also have a sidebar here, and the sidebar represents the different sections of the guidance that you are looking at. So if you can see what you're looking for down the sidebar, it just means that you can, for example, click number 4 and go straight to that section without having to scroll through. So that's a kind of a quick way to navigate around it. So as you can see, that's your core procedures there. You've got your stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, some specific guidance. So the information around placing the adult at risk at the centre of safeguarding has been kind of made more explicit and more so that you can really kind of see what's expected in terms of that, because that obviously applies regardless of the stage that you are at. So that's been kind of drawn out as a helpful way of that. So that will be really useful for you. We've then got the Safeguarding Adult Practice Guidance section. So this is kind of the extra bit, if you like. So there's a whole range of additional practice guidance that's now available to you. It covers a whole range of different safeguarding situations that you may be involved in and kind of encounter, and a whole range of guidance. So we've got professional curiosity, allegations against carers, against service providers, against adults with care and support needs, managing repeat allegations, managing concerns involving a person in a position of trust, safeguarding adults with dementia, missing adults, domestic abuse, honour-based violence and forced marriage, female genital mutilation, violent and sexual abuse. So you can see from looking at this, there's a whole host of additional guidance that's now available to you. And within that guidance, you will see, so if I go into, you will see that there is a description of what that topic kind of might be, some particular guidance around challenges, etc. And a lot of them have a practice guidance or a further information section, which will give you links to national statutory guidance and support and resources out there as well. So it's a whole host of additional information available. Learning and improvement. So this is your safeguarding adult review section, and your domestic homicide and leader reviews. So the safeguarding adult reviews is reflective of your current safeguarding adult review policy and procedures. It's been fully localised and adapted to meet those requirements. There is nothing different around safeguarding adult reviews and how they are carried out, in the same way as there's no difference to the 4-stage process. So you can literally say you're reading top to bottom, or you can use the links to jump through. So if you're just looking for how to make a SAR referral, you can see section 4 is SAR referrals, and you can see here you've got making a referral. And because all this content is shared, it doesn't matter which of the board's websites you are in, you will get all of the information for all of the boards within this content here as well. Things are linked up so you can access website pages or download forms, etc. It's all there for you. So just moving down the contents list a little, we've got the Safeguarding Adult Board websites as well, so you can access all of the board websites from any of the board's procedure sites. And we've got a couple of some additional resources again at the bottom here. So these are provided by tri.x and maintained by tri.x. They're national resources and they will support safeguarding practice, but also practice outside of the safeguarding arena as well. So they're really going to be helpful tools to you in your wider practice as well. So the first of our resources is a Care Act resource. So if we click on that, now this opens on a new window, so it doesn't kind of override the website that you were already on. It's opened on a new window, so when you finished using the tri.x resource, you can simply just use the X button to shut it down, and the website you were on before will still be there. The purpose of this resource is we've pulled together the legislation, the regulations and the statutory guidance and presented it in a single source of much more accessible, user-friendly information to support you to understand the legal requirements of Part 1 of the Care Act. It's very simple to use a tri.x resource. All you do is click on the section that you are after and then click on the information you need. You can either, same as with your own procedures, it works the same. You can either read top to bottom or you can use the sidebar to jump to a particular section a lot quicker. If you are in a situation and you need to do a deeper delve, you've got the link here to the legislation, regulations and statutory guidance as well. So it's a one-stop shop, if you like, for the Care Act. Obviously, as you see, there is a dedicated adult safeguarding section here in terms of understanding the requirements of the Care Act in respect of adult safeguarding. Now, tri.x keep this resource up to date, so whenever you go into it, you're going to get the latest version of it. There is an amendment area on it that will show you what we've changed, when we've changed it and why. There is a register for updates facility here, so if you want to receive a notification when we make an update to this particular resource, you can register to receive an update there. Our other resource is our Mental Capacity Act Resource and Practice Toolkit. Now, this works exactly the same way in terms of functionality as the Care Act resource. It's got the link to the Act and the codes of practice. So again, if you need to do that deeper delve, you can do that. Now, this is going to be obviously, I think, a really, really helpful resource to everybody on the call, because everybody at some point will be involved with the Mental Capacity Act, if not through safeguarding work, then through other practice. Be it you're a care provider or you work in health, or however, wherever you work, you will have some involvement with mental capacity. So this resource will be really helpful to you, perhaps in your wider practice as well. Section on understanding the Mental Capacity Act and understanding DOLS are high level sections. So a bit like the Care Act one, they will help you to understand the requirements of the Act. But the rest of this is it's a practice toolkit. So it's about implementing the Act into practice, into a range of different practice situations that you might come across. So there's a helpful introduction and keywords section, supporting people to make decisions and assessing capacity. So this is about kind of what do the requirements of the Act, the principles of the Act look and feel like in practice in real life situations, covering some of the challenges around kind of fluctuating capacity, executive capacity issues, etc. Making best interest decisions. So if a decision needs to be made, who should be the decision maker, who needs to be involved, does there need to be a meeting, how do you manage disagreement, how do you implement the decision, all of the practical stuff there. And the court of protection. So if an application does need to be made to court, understanding your role, the role of legal support, how to complete application forms, write witness statements, and what to expect if you have to actually go give evidence at court, and from that whole experience. So it's a really helpful practical toolkit for all practice areas, really working with anyone over the age of 16. It does have its register for updates facility, so you can register to receive an update when we update it. You can see what we've changed in the amendment area at any point. There's this button here, tri.x resources, which is an extra suite of additional resources to support implementation of the MCA. and also around legal literacy around the Mental Capacity Act as well. So we have resources for assessing capacity, which are either tri.x resources, which means that we've developed them, or other resources which are things that we've collated from reputable sources. So obviously there's a lot of organisations out there doing really, really good work around mental capacity, producing really good kind of tools and guidance notes, especially around kind of legal case law, etc. So we will kind of signpost you to them and include their information where it's freely available for us to do that. Tools around making best interest decisions. So we've got kind of balance sheets, we've got best interest meeting agendas, checklists for decision makers. There's a mental capacity legal literacy section. So this contains links to websites where you can find out about kind of case law, what's happening in the world of mental capacity. We've got various websites. We publish case law summary sheets here around deprivation of liberty safeguards and the interface with mental health and mental capacity. We've got the 39 Essex Chambers Mental Capacity Report newsletters that we publish. As you can see, the May one is on here. So this is a really good place if you are needing to have that level of mental capacity legal literacy. This is a space where you can go kind of on a monthly basis, we suggest, and take a look at the websites to see the latest guidance on the latest case law, and take a look at the latest mental capacity newsletters and any case reports that are on there. So it's a really good kind of little resource there. Online training. So some organisations will provide Mental Capacity Act training for their kind of staff. Others you may have to kind of outsource that. So if your provider services, for example, you may have to kind of outsource that. And it's just to let you know really that the Social Care Institute for Excellence have an e-learning course that is free for everybody, and there's a link to it here. So should you need to access online training, that's one to kind of check out potentially. And then everything to do with, we've got Dole's resources here, and then we have everything to do with LPSs here. So obviously that's shelved at the moment, but if you did need to look at any of that, we've also put an interesting article on there from the Social Care Institute for Excellence around kind of what's next, which is a bit of a useful summary. So that's kind of on there as well. So that's our Mental Capacity Act resource. So that will obviously we'll hopefully see that will be a useful toolkit for you, not only when in the safeguarding arena, but kind of moving forward as well in other practice areas. Okay, so on top here then we've got two more areas. So we've got a glossary, which is another tri.x resource. So obviously it says tri.x at the top, adult glossary. So this contains a whole host of words, so social care words, health words, legal terminology, safeguarding terminology that you may come across. It's a national glossary, so if you're looking for terminology that's very kind of local, it won't be on here, but in terms of national, it will be on here. You simply type in the keyword or the phrase you're looking for, or you can use the alphabet here to kind of jump across. And you can see there's a whole host of words here, and you simply click on whichever word you're looking for and you will get the glossary entry come up. And let me close that. So that's our glossary. And next to the glossary, we have a national contacts. So this is another tri.x resource, but this is a resource that covers both adults and children's services. So it contains a whole host of contact details for loads and loads of key national agencies and organisations. So you've got government organisations, you've got voluntary organisations, kind of specialist organisations are all on here. So again, you search for the contact, or you can use the alphabet, so it works in exactly the same way. And then you click on the contact and you will get their contact details on there. So that's a useful resource, again, if you need to kind of signpost or get advice from agencies, those key agencies. Okay, so I'm just going to use the home button because that will take me back to the welcome page. So if I just go back to the main page, so this is the shared page that we started on, and obviously we went into Bradford, but just to demonstrate, we're now going to be somebody that only works in Calderdale. We'll go into Calderdale. So we can see that the website looks different because it's obviously branded to Calderdale's requirements. We can see the feedback details are slightly different. So if you've got any feedback, we're providing feedback directly to Calderdale, who will either action anything themselves or liaise with the wider Safeguarding Adult Board group if it's something to do with that core procedural content. Other than that, it kind of looks the same. This would then be a link directly across to Calderdale, how to report a concern in Calderdale. This would be to Calderdale's website. These are our two legal resources that we looked at. This would be to Calderdale's contact and practice resources, and this would be to the main contents, which are shared by everybody. Okay. So just to say then, the buttons that I haven't gone into. So we've got using this procedure site. So using this procedure site is a written, if you like, version of what I'm showing you today. So telling you how to go about using the site, how to navigate it, the different content areas, etc. on there. And there is a search facility here. So you can search the content of the site. You just click into there and type in whatever you're looking for. So if we say making safeguarding personal, and then we'll press enter. And what this will do is it will do a search of the contents list, which is shared by everybody, but it will also do a search of the content of the contacts and practice resources. So those locally developed resources, it will do a search of that as well. And that one will be bespoke to the whichever site you're in. So it's now searching Calderdale for me. So what it's finding is it's finding things within that local resource area, but it's also finding things within the main contents list as well. So that's the search facility. Okay, so just to say about in terms of accessing the site. So there is a link that I say I will pop it into the chat box, which will take you to this page. If you currently work in either Wakefield or the City of York local authority, you will also have on your adult procedures site, which is a tri.x adult procedures site, your safeguarding adult button will take you directly into the correct site. So if you work for Wakefield and you click on the safeguarding adult button on your adult procedures site, you will go here. This is where it will take you straight to this site. So you will have access to all of the safeguarding core procedures and all of the locally developed contacts and practice resources as well from your adult procedures site. So that's the kind of, I guess, slight difference in terms of access. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to just come off screen share and see if there's any questions that anybody has in the chat box or wants to ask. I'm happy to jump back on and show you anything. I'm aware that during the session I haven't gone into a lot of the content itself. Obviously, you can have a good explore. You can go into anything that you kind of want to. The structure is the same in terms of how the content looks, how it works with the sidebar, etc. But if there's anything you particularly want me to go into it and show today, so you can have a look at anything, then please do say, because I'm happy to jump back onto screen share and show you those things. So if I just go to the chat box first. So the first bit then, so yeah, so will the slides be provided? So obviously you saw there weren't any slides. It is just a kind of a demonstration, but it has been recorded. The recording obviously will be made available to anyone that either hasn't attended or wants to watch the recording again. The local contacts. So the local contact section, yes, there is a section. What you will find as you start using the site is that the local section, so the contact and practice resources for each of the different board areas where that localized information goes, you may find as you're using it that there are things in those areas that are maybe not there, that should be there, that you think should be there or would be useful to be in there. So what you'll need to do if you find those things is use the feedback email on the welcome page of the relevant board website to share that information and that feedback, because each of the boards can actually upload things to that contacts and practice resource area without having to come back through tri.x, and that can be done very quickly. So if there's anything that you feel could be improved or needs to be added to that contact, that local resource type area, then please do provide that using that feedback email that's on the front of the boards. Yeah, the link, excellent. So there's always somebody in the chat that reminds me that I haven't popped the link in. So let me just pop the link in. So the link that I've just popped into the chat box will take you to that shared homepage, and from there you'll be able to go into the relevant board for you. So got a request just to look again at the kind of navigating to the practice resource areas for different areas of safeguarding. So let me just do a bit of a share. Okay, so we're back on the main landing page. So what we'll do is from the main landing page, we will go down and select whichever board we are needing to be in terms of local information, remembering that it doesn't matter which board we're in terms of core information, that information is the same. So I've now come into North Yorkshire. So say I need to get those local contacts or local resources for Yorkshire. I'm in the Yorkshire board. All I do is I simply scroll down to the bottom and I've got the contacts and practice resources button. And if I click there, that will take me to the contacts and practice resources for Yorkshire, for North Yorkshire. So they will have some national resources in it, which obviously would be the same regardless, but there's got some local information in there as well. So all you do is click on the information and then you can click in these are subfolders and then click on either the links or the downloads, whatever it might be. You can also, regardless of the board that you are in, if you're in the contents list, because the contents, all of this is exactly the same regardless of which board you are in the contacts and practice resources by area section, you can actually jump across to the local contacts bit for the different areas. So I can easily jump across. I'm in the North Yorkshire board now, but if I wanted to, for example, say, well, have Calderdale got what's the local process, what's the local form or whatever it might be, I can click that and that will take me across to the Calderdale website contacts and practice resources. So from the contents list you can access any of them, but from that big button on the main page is where you would access the one that is specific to the board whose website you are on at that current time. If I just fabulous. So the children's safeguarding, there is a link to the children's safeguarding procedures from the welcome page of each of the boards, has a link across to the children's safeguarding procedures. Yeah, so you will see that some of the sections within, so the local process bit again, you will see that some of the sections either are empty or might say customer to add text. That's because obviously this is a brand new site, it's in development. So over time things will be added to those different sections and that will kind of evolve. Like I say, if you identify things that you think should go into those sections that aren't in there, then please do use the email address on the front to provide that feedback and those kind of tools and resources, and they can be added very swiftly. Yeah, so just some points about the recording. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to be sending the recording over to each of the boards following the session, and it will be made available through the kind of forum that the board feels most suitable. Okay, I think I've answered the questions from the chat. I'm going to now just come off recording because I'm conscious that